All right, what's up everybody, and happy Monday to me. As many of you know, it ain't always rainbows and sunshines when it comes to YouTubing, not just YouTubing, but motorcycling in general. And I made it to work this morning. It's in the afternoon right now. I came home from my lunch break, was at work, and my wife called me and said she heard a noise in the garage. I don't know any other way to say it, but let's just turn the camera around. You'll see what's going on, and then I'm gonna give you guys a shop update. We got some other things that we got going on. Let's just turn the camera around. Let's keep you guys out of suspense. Womp, womp, womp. So, I guess the noise you heard was my bike tipping over in the garage. I've used these wheel chocks, or this wheel chock in particular, for a lot of years and never had any problems. Maybe the wheel was cocked or something, but as you can see, it got super close to hitting the Peach bike. As far as I can tell right now, it doesn't appear that any sheet metal hit the ground. I guess this could be a good opportunity for me to detail the underside of my bike, but it actually looks pretty clean. So let's get this thing picked back up. And yeah, let me just set you guys up. Let's get this bike back on its wheels, and we'll go from there. It's not as bad as it looks. All right, so like I said, I definitely got lucky. No marks on the paint, everything seems to be good. The little cap got a little damage, so I can probably pop that back in for the time being. Mirror didn't even touch. What I'm most impressed about is it doesn't appear like anything happened to the bags. Like this bar is still parallel with that. That all seems to be good. It's got a little scrape there, a little scrape there. It's obviously dripping a little bit of fluid. It's coming up over the top there, that's weird. So I'm pulling this primary off this video anyways. A small noise that's going on, so whatever's leaking, I know this shifter shaft was leaking a little bit, and obviously it's leaking out of something else. There's actually fluid built up in there, so we need to address that. But like I said, didn't catch any of the paint. The tank looks good. This might have got bent a little bit, it looks like. Actually, it looks like the entire shifter shaft is bent, which is not good. It definitely sucks. It looks like the shaft might be a little bent. Peg, little mark on it, nothing bad, but overall could have been a lot worse. I gotta get back to work, so when I get back home later today, we'll look this thing over one more time, make sure everything's good, and then I'm gonna explain to you what's going on with that bike, and with this bike, and now this bike. So you guys just stick around and we'll be right back. All right, so I'm back home from work. I'm a little sweaty, it's a hot day. I went ahead and got the bike back on the wheel dolly. I don't know if I said it earlier, but I did figure out what happened. The front tire went flat. So I've had a problem with these Shinkos. This is be the third time that the front tire is aired out without there being a nail. The first time, I think I showed you guys in a video how it had like the little nipples inside the tire or on the actual bead for the tire. And I thought I cleaned all those off. Got it to seal, did great. Probably, I don't know, a month or so down the road, it kind of started leaking out again. Pulled the tire again, cleaned it, aired it up, and then it's been great ever since. And then randomly, it just aired out. So that's what happened with the tumble. Like you guys saw, luckily it didn't do a lot of damage, but I am thinking that the shifter shaft is bent. So big shout out again to Villain to Hero saddlebags. Those rails held up way better than I expected, because when my wife sent me that photo, or told me that the bike had fallen over and sent me the photo, I was expecting the bags to be, I don't know, the bars to be all bent up and the bags to kind of be pushed into the shock, possibly cracked or whatever, but everything actually went really well. There's a couple little chips, easy fix. Either way, what this video was supposed to be about, regardless of what just happened to my motorcycle, what this video was supposed to be about is getting ready to go to the Smokeout Rally. I'm starting to hear a little sound from the primary. I'm a little over 7,000 miles into this bike since I built it. And the trip that I'm about to go on is a just over 1,500 miles round trip if I just go there and back. But I think I'm gonna go through South Carolina, maybe to Maggie Valley, things like that. So probably somewhere in the 1,600 range, 1,700 range by the time it's all said and done. And I don't want to be stranded. And this is a very, very good opportunity now that this happened to pull the primary off, look at the clutches, and kind of see what is making the noise. Because like I said, once it warms up, there's a clatter, there's a sound I'm not super stoked on. Most people are like, oh, it's just a Harley, it makes sounds. But to me, it didn't do it until I got back from that last trip. And I just want to be 100% sure that there's nothing getting ready to fail on this motorcycle. So I'm going to pull it apart. While we have it apart, we're going to take a look at that shifter shaft. The leak that was going on was actually coming from the transmission kind of vent tube. So we're going to make sure we top off the transmission fluid. I'm going to pull the clutch basket out with the clutches installed, take it to Andy. He's going to disassemble it. I guess there's a friction plate or something that's got some rivet heads, and it's kind of notorious or known to fail. So we're going to see if that might be what my sound is. Maybe it's just I'm overthinking it. All right, first thing first, we're going to go ahead and drain the primary on these FXRs. You got a little primary Allen down here at the bottom. Whew. A little oil on this thing. Looking at the magnet, I don't know if you guys can see or not, but it's got a little bit of shavings on there, which is to be expected. Nothing thick or too big. Let this thing drain, then we'll go ahead and get the cover off, get the peg off, get this shifter arm off, which, like I said, I'm almost 100% sure this shaft right here is bent. So if this thing's bent and we can't bend it back, we're going to have to take the whole inner primary off to replace this piece, which you can see where it actually made contact with the engine there. All right, well anyways, let's get this drained and next step. All right, everything inside here actually looks really good. There's supposedly, from what Andy was telling me, there's either a friction plate or something inside within here that has rivets on it. But I'm gonna pull this off either way, and we're going to disassemble this, see if the friction plate or whatever inside there is the problem, and kind of go from there. As far as the shifter shaft goes, it is definitely bent. I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but I'm gonna have to pull off this plastic sleeve. And actually, I'll show you what I'm going to do, but I'm going to put a pair of wrenches on here and try to bend it the other way. I might put a little heat on it, bend it, because if I can bend this straight, then I don't have to take all this apart. I can just pull this piece out, take it to Andy, look at it. If this thing is bent, unlike a Dyna, an FXR is one piece to the shifter lever, linkage lever, whatever you want to call this, the starter, and then get all the other bolts out of this thing. Pull this cover off to actually replace this. So I'm going to try to see if I can bend it in the bike, and we'll see if we can make that happen. But other than that, I don't know where my sound's coming from. I'm hoping it's inside here. Pick back up here in a second and see for sure. All right, so I got the internals all kind of removed. Do not forget, anytime you're dealing with the clutch basket, this nut is always, it's a left-handed thread nut versus, the front compensator is always kind of just the correct way, your standard way of nuts and bolts. I'm gonna get this plastic sleeve off because one of the things I've been wanting to do is replace this with a metal one. I'm gonna get this out and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna try to do to bend this thing straight. So what I need to do first is I need to bend this little tab over, get this bolt out. This is the retainer clip for your shifter shaft sleeve. All right, now that that's removed, you can definitely see, if it's gonna zoom, now that the plastic sleeves are removed, you can definitely see where the bend is. I mean, it's right there at the end. So let's see if we can bend that thing out a little bit and make it work. All right, I think we did it. Putting that wrench in behind here allowed me to not be smashing against all this stuff. It kind of kept pressure on there, so it was actually pushing against the wrench on the backside. And then just getting that kind of over the splines, the bend back. And like I said, when you put a straight edge against it, I mean, it's definitely straight. I think I'm good with that. I think that's gonna work. Yep. All right, well, there you have it. I think we got and plus when I look down, it doesn't look nearly awkward like it was, so. All right, so that looks pretty straight to me. I think what we'll do is tomorrow we'll head over to Andy's and we'll bring the camera with us so we can disassemble this clutch basket. And I guess right here in the middle of the video would be a good time to kind of let you know what else is going on, just to, I don't know, to make it not seem like it's fully about this bike. So let's turn the camera around. Let's look at my 87, because I got some big news with this bike. So for those that may or may not remember, this is that 87 Harley-Davidson FXR Sport that I picked up out of St. Louis, and I have decided to twin cam it. So I was going to just kind of refresh some things and do this and do that and put some nice paint on it, but it's like, what's the point of custom paint and all the other little things that I have for it if I'm still running the old taper shaft transmission and the two-piece starter and all that? So once I started pricing what it will take to do a spline shaft transmission in this bike, it's almost going to cost me the same to just go ahead and twin cam the whole thing. Obviously, twin cam is going to cost a little bit more, but I got big plans with this motor. So this motor is going to go on a stand. It's going to sit up on my workbench there, and within the next, I'm hoping 6 months or so, once this bike's done, the next project that I'm going to build is going to involve this motor. So I'm sure you guys can probably take a pretty good educated guess at what it's going to be, but this is going to be the power plant for that project. As far as the transmission, the primary goes, I'm just going to sell that stuff. That's what's going on with this bike. We're twin camming it, so this bike will not be on the FXR tour. I'm just going to go ahead and take my time. I'm not rich, so therefore it's going to take me a little bit of time to kind of save up the money to buy the parts that I need, but hopefully sometime this winter we'll be rocking and rolling on this thing. I'm actually hoping by October, November to be rocking and rolling on this bike, but I'm still in the parts gathering stage. Which leads me to this bike. This will be my FXR tour bike. So I got a few more things I still need to do to this. I want to get these gauges up on the bars, so I'm going to extend the harnesses on that. I just don't like that look. It works, but it just doesn't look good. So I'm going to get the gauges up on the bars. There's a few other things I want to do. I'm going to get some new rubber because these tires are about 10 years old. I want to get the wheels kind of polished up and get the bags that are up there conditioned and everything so I can get them back on this bike. All right. Few days have passed, and we are heading to Andy's with that clutch and my front tire. The leak is coming from the same spot, the outer edge is still leaking from there. So real quick, I just want to do a little walkthrough. I got Tony's bike loaded up on my trailer here. I wanted to kind of show you guys this bike. I thought I was going to do a little bit more content with this thing while I was going through it and cleaning it. Man, it's just been hot. Like, you saw me sweating. I've already taken another shower, 2 showers today. At least it's a little cloudy out, but so this bike's actually sold to a gentleman in Indiana, and he wanted me to just go through it. This was not a frame off or a frame up kind of build when they did it. More or less, they just kind of added some parts to it and painted the tins. But this is a factory FXR 2. This bike was originally maroon. It's got about 40-something thousand miles on it, so it's had a little bit of a life, and I was just going through it, kind of fixing a few things that the previous owner kind of neglected, rerouting some wires, tightening a few things up, and just giving it an overall bath, kind of like I did with my blue bike. Polish the frame, sort out a few things like you saw earlier. I don't know if I'm going to put it in here or not, but the shocks, when Tony put these shocks on originally, he put them on with a the spacers that Legend offers for when you're running a belt. And now that the bike's chain driven, it does not need those spacers. So I tucked the shocks back in using the correct FXR upper bolts. And yeah, so we're going to get it to Tony before it starts raining. Looks like it's going to come down. So we'll get this bike dropped off to him. Then we'll go by Andy's. If the clutch is good, put it back in my bike and get it ready. So yeah, let's get back in the truck. Let's head out, and we'll pick back up here in a second. So you said it's a friction plate that's in there that's got rivets in the middle?
Yeah, they call it a damper spring.
Damper spring? What year did they do away with those?
98.
So your FXR doesn't have this set up?
No, it's got that late clutch in it.
They're trashed?
No.
Good?
I don't see what's wrong with it. What problems are you having?
It's just starting to make some sounds. When it warms up, it just had me, I just wanted to take, because you warned me about this and we never did this.
Marijuana knocks?
What's that mean? You warned me about this before I assembled and I never checked it, so I started hearing sounds and like I said, with the clutch disc looking like that kind of mileage I have on, I don't race this bike, so I just want this thing to be able to go down the highway and come home.
You're gonna have to keep up, I'm telling you.
This is a trick when it's going to fall apart on your way to the smokehouse.
Oh my god. That's what Andy said about everything. Andy built me the exhaust bracket and said, alright, that thing's only going to last about 100 miles. Look at it, still holding up. He built the entire motor and it's still, knock on wood, it's still leak free. What's that?
That's where the snap ring rides.
I've never seen that. So, yeah, like I said, I never took this whole clutch apart. Bada bing. All right, now we gotta fix this stupid ass tire because this is the third time this thing's leaked out on me.
You can't fix tires.
I see a tire machine. I see a tire. There's a tire machine. What do you want for lunch? I'll go get you lunch.
The other side is leaking, right?
Well, that's what the original leak was, but you never know with this thing. You take it off and on, it could,
Yeah.
next thing you know, it could be on the other side. Yeah, free tire wash. This was the spot right here where I marked it, and then the other one should have been, yeah, right there. Now when I did this at home, it just, you would tell right away if it was leaking. All right, I think it's fixed for the third time. I just needed you to fix it. Yeah, this will be my only set of Shinkos I ever run. This tire's gonna frustrate. And that rear tire wore out so damn fast, and I'm already on the second rear, and I still got this much life on the front, and I don't do no burnouts, no racing, no nothing, just regular old riding. All right, what's up everybody? It is now Sunday, so I need to be on the road bright and early Thursday morning with this motorcycle, and I need to finish this thing up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this primary buttoned up. I already got the front wheel and tire on yesterday, so all that stuff's done. and we just need to put the primary back together. We need to top off the transmission fluid, and then I also need to look over all the other fluids. Well, obviously I'm going to be putting new fresh primary fluid in here, but I do need to check the engine oil and just kind of do a nut and bolt check before I head out. You saw that we took the clutch basket to Andy, and he verified that that spring plate or friction plate, whatever he was calling it, dampener plate, was good, but he did have a new one on the shelf, and I went ahead and replaced it. I guess there's another thing that I could have done where you just add another clutch disc in there. I guess that's a real popular upgrade for some of the guys maybe with a little bit more power. I don't know enough about it, and I think I think Barnett sells an extra disc and a different spring plate. A lot of guys do that kind of swap. I just put another one of those standard plates in there. So that's fresh, that's new. Another thing that I did go ahead and replace is, this is the factory shifter shaft sleeve, or whatever you want to call it. It's actually made out of, I guess like a plastic. I don't know if the camera will show it, but it's got quite a bigger wide range there for that O-ring to sit. And I could not get this thing to stop leaking. It would keep leaking out of my inspection cover. Not leaking, but just a little residue every time I washed it or went on a ride. I'd come back and there'd be a little bit of primary fluid on the side of my primary chrome cover. So what we're replacing this with is the boys over at FXR Division have this actual nice aluminum sleeve, and it's actually got a brass insert. So the biggest thing that I noticed is it still runs all the same O-rings, but I don't have that large gap right there, and I'm hoping that that is my problem, is letting this O-ring move too much. I don't know if you can even see it on the camera, and it's just not letting it get a nice firm seal, whereas I'm hoping this one seems to be sealing at the top of, can y'all see that? I don't know if it's zooming in properly or not, but I'm hoping with this O-ring sealing at the very tip top that we should get a nice fresh seal on that. And then also with it comes a new stainless retainer clip. So just a little upgrade. It was very inexpensive for what it is. And if it stops the bike from leaking oil out of that inspection cover, it's gonna be 100% worth the money. There was nothing wrong with this one other than the leaking. It works and all that. So we'll get this bolted in. We'll slide the primary on. You guys have seen this done before. We'll get everything torqued down, start getting buttoned up. So we'll do a little time lapse and watch me work. Alright, so we're pretty much finished it up on this thing. Right now I just need to put some fluid in this, and then I can start it up and everything. But I'm not starting it up in this video because I do want to mess with the carburetor. I got some new jets. I'm going to kind of play with that a little bit. Just sort some other little things out before I actually start the bike up. But I do want to go ahead and top off the primary, top off the transmission. I don't know if I remember saying this earlier in the video, but kind of what was going on, the whole reason for this, other than the fall, obviously, the whole reason for taking apart this primary and looking into that clutch was, when I originally built this bike, I never disassembled the clutch, so it had me concerned, and I just wanted to verify that maybe that friction plate or whatever that dampening plate wasn't coming apart, and I wanted to look at some other things. And then of course the fall, I needed to straighten out the shifter shaft. This is just good preventive maintenance because I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, maybe I'm just cuckoo in the head or whatever, but one thing I do want to try differently this time is I traditionally just run kind of the drag specialty primary fluid. The newer bikes, I always would put some good stuff in, some synthetic whatever, but on these older bikes, they do well with just the off-the-shelf cheap stuff. However, being around these bikes for a while, I've heard a lot of people talking about automatic transmission fluid, specifically Type F, and I'm going to give it a try. So this is basically Ford, old school Ford C4, C6 transmission style transmission fluid. I'm going to use this. I'm going to try to see if maybe this will keep the clutches and everything lubricated longer, because whatever's going on happens, like I said, when the bike is warm. So we're going to top it off with this. I'm going to get this video edited and up for you guys, and then I will be at the Smokeout Rally, leaving here Thursday at the FXR gathering. Unfortunately, Justin's not going to make it. Justin needs to now make a trip down to Texas because he's got Hudson's frame back from powder, and they're going to get started on that bike this weekend. If you got any questions about what's going on, I can kind of help you out. I know this video wasn't very informative as far as torque specs. You can go back to some of the older videos on this bike getting built and other bikes and things like that. When I get started on this bike, again, we're going to be tearing into this. This is a taper shaft transmission, so you get to see the difference in the clutch baskets and what makes a taper shaft and a spline shaft, and you know, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be pretty cool videos. Give you guys a little better understanding when you see those terms written out, especially when you're looking to buy a motorcycle or an FXR in particular, what those differences mean. So either way, thank you guys for tuning in, and yeah, we'll see you guys. If I don't see y'all in North Carolina, we'll just see you hopefully somewhere else soon. Y'all take care. Peace.